Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am Isis and you are on the Isis G channel. So today we are going to talk about my book, How to Write Your Own Book. Now, I wrote my own book and it took me about 10 months to do because I wanted to make sure everything was perfect. And what I did to write my own book wasn't very complicated, and I get a lot of questions on how to write a book, and it's not hard at all. So I decided to do a YouTube video about it. So here is my book. It is How to Start a Beauty Brand. So this is a book that I wrote and I self-published it on Amazon. The cool thing about Amazon is that it's a huge marketplace and Amazon has mastered SEO. So what you can do if you have your own business, if you do have your own skincare or makeup brand, or you have a music business, you're into music or you're into marketing and you want to work on your SEOs, a great way to get backlinks back to your website is write a book. So I self-published this book, like I said, on Amazon, and within the description of the book I redirect people back to my branding website, my new website, SMH branding, and then also the My Curly Temple website. So that's pretty cool. If people Google you, it'll take them right to your actual book. So that's what I did for me. But let's get down into the nitty gritty. So I actually wrote two books. One is published on Amazon and one isn't published. It's just something that I offer on my website. But I'm going to show you how I did the one that I published on Amazon. So what I used to publish my book was Google Docs. So Google Docs is pretty cool because you can make your page layout with Google Docs so that it would actually be a book format. So what you would do, you would go to File, you would go to Page Setup, and you want to select A5. So A5 will be the actual structure for your book. So it's not going to be on a letter template for the 8.5 by 11. Now you can write a book on an 8.5 by 11, but if you're anything like me, page numbers matter. So if you are going to write an 8.5 by 11 book, you're going to need a lot of pages to make it like an actual book, a binded book. So what I did to like mentally trick myself into writing my book is that I wrote everything in my 8.5 by 11 format, and when I got to about 20 or 30 pages, I then switched it to the A5 format, and then that instantly doubled my pages. So I went from having 20 pages to 40 or 60 pages in a matter of seconds, and I'm like, oh, I'm halfway done my book. My goal was to have 100 pages, and I actually surpassed my goal, and I have like I think 175 pages, which I really didn't plan for, but it actually kind of worked out. So I'm really proud of it. So when you are starting your book, you can go straight to the A5 format if you want to. So this is a format that you would use, and you would press OK. So how do you structure your book? So the first page, you would want it to be the title page. So this is going to be our test book. So I'm going to write test book, right? Let's capitalize that. And then below the title, you want your subtitle. So we're like, how to write a book. So that will be my subtitle. And then below that, you're going to space that all the way down, and you want to write your name. So that's my name. So usually on title pages, it's all centered. So I centered it. And you want to highlight the title and you want to click here. So this is going to start formatting your book so that you can set up your table of content. So what you would click here and select title, right? And then this is your subtitle. You will select that and select subtitle. And for your name at the bottom, I usually keep that as normal text. So that would be normal text right here. So how do we make chapters for a book? Okay, so when you are designing your book, you definitely want to have it sectioned in chapters, because when you go to make your table of contents, it's going to direct people to specific pages in your book if they want specific content. So how do you do that? So let's do chapter 1. That's one. And then chapter 2. Still chapter, right? Chapter 2. And chapter 3. Chapter 3. So again, you will highlight these and you will go to here and you will hit heading 1. So that will actually make chapters to your book. Then if you want to have different lessons within that chapter, if you want to talk about a specific subject, what you can do, you can space under and type in whatever your lesson's name is going to be. So lesson 1, lesson 2, and then lesson 3. And then you will highlight it, and then you would go here, and then you will hit heading 2. So that's going to be a subdivision within your chapter. And you can do that all the way up to heading 3. You can have a subdivision within a subdivision. So I would hit heading 2, and that would create a different subject within that chapter. Now, if you look to the left of the screen, you see you have your title page. You have my name, which I'm going to actually delete because that's not going to be an actual chapter in my book. So we have chapter 1 with lesson 1, 2, and 3. Chapter 2 with lesson. Let's put some more lessons in there. So we're going to add the same lessons to each chapter. And so you can see that automatically populates. So there's your chapter 1, and then when you click on it, it brings you straight to the lesson. So if your book is pretty long and you want to look through a specific chapter, you could just click on the chapter and it'll take you right there. So let's space this out a little bit so you can tell it's just different chapters. So that's chapter 1, that's chapter 2. Oops. And then this is chapter 3. Okay. So we go to chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. So that's how you make chapters. Now, what you want to do with these chapters is that you want to section it into a table of contents, because the table of contents is going to be a guide for the people that are reading your book. So you want to go to Insert on your Google Docs, and you want to insert your table of content with page numbers. And you can see, so for chapter 1, you got lesson 1 is on page 3, chapter 2, lesson 1 is on page 4, chapter 3, lesson 1 is on page 5. So when you want to add more chapters and more lessons to your book, it's very simple to update your table of contents. So what you would want to do is, let's make a new page, and we'll title this chapter 4, and then we'll go back to the table of contents, and all you have to do is hit this refresh button and add chapter 4 into there. Now, how I structured my book and how I got the idea of writing everything down is just, I just wrote how I felt in that moment and what I wanted to write. And I read a lot of other books that, not necessarily similar what I'm doing, but just reading other books and how they have everything structured. Some people do have lessons broken down into their books. Some people just have, I don't know. every book is different. But I did read other books to get an idea of how I wanted to structure my book, because it's not really hard. You just have to mentally prepare yourself to actually do the work, because it does require work. And like I said, it did take me, I had my basic book concept done within like a couple weeks, but I wanted to sit on it and meditate on the information that I was providing and really think about, like, you know, would I spend $30 for this book if I was just a regular person? And I wanted to really put enough information in there so that people can feel like they're getting their money's worth. So I love Google Docs, because if I lose my computer and I'm using Word to design my book, then my book is gone. But on Google Docs, everything is laid out already, and Google is not going anywhere, so your book will still be here. So this is my actual book, How to Start a Beauty Brand. So I can click on the different lessons. This is actually, I actually have my book in a separate format, but if you can see, you can click, this is not actually, this is my old book actually, but I've added to it since then, but you can see you can click right on the lessons and it'll take you to each lesson of the book. And then what you do when you're ready to download it, you would go to download, and then you can download it as a Word document. You can download it as a PDF, or you can download it as a web page. And a web page is important because, or no, I'm sorry, you can download it as an e-publication. And e-publication is important because that is how it will translate on a Kindle. So when you do upload your book to Amazon, they give you the option of using Kindle as well. So that is something to keep in mind when you are making your book on Google Docs. So what I did to make my book on Amazon. Here's my actual live book. I did a couple of test books just to figure out how to structure it, but I finally finalized it. So like some of the things, like your book title, you can't change your book title. So you want to make sure that your book title is correct. I changed my book title twice, and I can't go back and change the book title because the book title is what it is. So I had to go back and make another book with the correct title so that everything was cohesive. So what you would do, you would hit, I started with the paperback book, and then you can go back and you can do your Kindle book next. So on the paperback book, and the paperback section is going to take us here. So you would want to enter your book title here. So let's see what we named our book. We named it Test Book, and so we're going to go back to here, and then we're enter test book. Then you want to put your subtitle in. So I'm going to copy that and put that there. So test book, how to write a book, right? Now you can make this book into series. So like Harry Potter, they have their own series. You can set up your book in a section in series, which is pretty cool. You want to enter your name here, and you want to add any contributing authors. So if you're not the only author, you want to add another person, other people here, and you can add multiple names down here. This is your book description. Now, this is something you can alter. The only thing you cannot change is the name of the book. So once the name of the book is in there, it's locked in. You can't change it. But the description, you can alter it, which is good because if you feel like your description is not getting a lot of traffic, you can go back and you can adjust it. You want to put in, you own the copyrights, and then this is your SEO. So this is how you're going to get people to the Amazon page organically so that they would purchase your book. And then you want to choose the categories, right? So I'm going to save this to draft, and we are going to actually go back to my book, and we're going to look at how I structured it. Okay, so this is my book. Now this is the portion where I mentioned that you can go back and you can upload your Kindle information. So you want to upload your Kindle book as an EPUB because it's going to section a book out differently than you would do it with a PDF. So people can just click through it. So you want to download it on your Google Docs as an EPUB so that you can directly add it to Amazon. And this is my cover for my book. I made the cover for my book from Canva. So this is the book cover that I designed on Canva, and the dimensions I put in for this book cover was double the size of my page layout. So I think my page layout was like 8.27 by 5 point something. So what I did, I just doubled that. And then Amazon, when you upload your book cover, it will tell you if it's the right size or not. So I started out with that because that just gave me like the basic dimensions. And then depending on how thick your book is, you may have to adjust it. So I put those dimensions in and I designed my cover using Canva. Again, I looked at other people on how they designed their cover and how they laid it out, and then I kind of like copied it. I didn't copy this design from a specific book, but I wanted to have some books have front to back is the same picture. So I liked books like that. I think below I had a different design. This was going to be the name of my book before, but I actually, like I said, I'm working on being more front and center with my business. So it's hard for me to like put my face out, but I want to represent my brand. I know it's hard for me. I don't know about anybody else. Some people just like being in front of the camera. That's just not me. This is why I'm in a little square corner. And within this video, I'm actually showing you what's in the background because I'm practicing being more on camera more. But anyway, yeah. So this is the actual book layout that I use. So I downloaded this book as, I think, as a JPEG. Then I went back and then, yep, you can download it as a JPEG, and then you can upload it into your Amazon page. And then what's cool is that you can launch a preview. So you can click this. It does take a while to launch it, but when it comes out, it'll show you how people can turn to through your pages of your book and then look through it. So this is the layout for the actual Kindle. So this is the front page, and then this is the table of contents. So what's cool about this is because they can click on the specific lesson and it will take them directly to that lesson. I think that's really cool that they actually have a layout where you can actually look through it. So my suggestion to you is take your time, do not rush. It's really simple to actually make the book. It's just you just have to have the patience and the time to want to do that. It's a lot of hard work. I would just take one thing at a time. So I would suggest it to write like a simple book, like a small book, like a beginner's guide book, but I didn't do that. Kind of like went all the way because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I didn't do a beginner's guidebook, but I went straight in. But the next book that I plan to write is going to be how to market a beauty brand. So I'm trying to be very specific. I don't want to get into generalized studies about branding and all types of brands, whether you have like a boutique store. Like, no, I want to specifically target beauty brands because I don't feel like there's tons of information about how to like sell weaves, or there's tons of information how to sell clothes, but there's no information out there on how to do a beauty brand. So that is going to be my niche, and that's what I'm going to stick on. So the next book is going to be how to market your beauty brand. So I hope this video was helpful. It kind of like jumped around everywhere, but I hope you got the basic concept. You want to write your book on Google Docs, then you want to take it, download it as a PDF, and upload it onto your Amazon self-publishing page. It's free to set up. It doesn't cost any money. And then once your book is set up, Amazon will tell you how much it would cost at the end for them to print out your book, and then they'll give you a percentage of whatever's left when people purchase it. So I hope you learned something from this video. If you have any more questions, leave them in the description box. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can.